Today I'm going to be showing you how to make Thai basil. That's all, folks. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Courtney Budzyn and this is What's for Din. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make Thai beef and basil stir fry. Now this is a little bit more on the fancy side, but rest assured this is so stinking flavorful and so good. I know that you guys are going to love this recipe, so without further ado, let's get started. All right, so the first thing you want to do is take your steak out of the refrigerator and bring it to room temperature. If you don't do this and you put cold steak in a hot pan, the meat's going to seize up and become really tough. So the next thing we're going to do is work on our broccolini. So basically you just want to take off the excess leaves, and if you have any really thick stems, you want to cut that off. The stems are edible, but preferably you don't want to bite into a huge stem. And then I just kind of trim it down the center to make them a little bit more thin, and then I like to separate the stems all together so that it's easier to pick up with a fork on your plate. And I don't know about you, but I feel like broccolini is like one of the most beautiful vegetables I've ever seen. Anyways, you want to get a pot of water fully boiling, like full rolling boil. You don't want it half boiling or simmering. And to that, you're going to add your broccolini and let it cook for 3 minutes and no longer than that. And because we want it to stay perfectly tender, we have to stop the cooking process. So make sure you have a big bowl of ice water ready to go right by your side. So once the 3 minutes are up, you can go ahead and put the broccolini in the ice water, let it sit in there for about 50 seconds, and then I like to put them on some paper towel just to drain off all the excess water. And there is no denying how green and vibrant those babies are after being blanched. They are absolutely stunning. So the next thing we're going to work on is our flank steak. Now as you can see, there's a little bit of fat on it, and you can choose to trim it off if you would like to, and if you don't want to, you can just leave it on. It's not really a big deal. As you can see, I trimmed off just a tad bit. And I wanted to show you guys the grain on this steak. You can see which way it runs across, and for future reference, we're going to be cutting across the grain, which will make the meat really, really tender. So then you want to go ahead and season both sides with salt and pepper, and that's all I used, nothing fancy. But you do want to make sure that you don't over season with salt, since this is a thin piece of meat, and we are going to be using a soy replacement in the sauce, which is a little bit more on the salty side, so just keep that in mind. So while you're doing that, you want to make sure you get a large pan really, really hot, because you want it to be able to brown the outside of the meat really well, and that's going to give it a lot of flavor. So for my oil, I'm going to be using coconut oil, since it is one of the healthier oils, and you want to melt that down. Then we're going to add the steak. Now if it doesn't make this sound, then that means that your pan was not hot enough, and you better take it out of the pan and get your pan nice and hot. But if it does make that sound, it is absolutely perfect. And I like to cook mine at around 4 to 5 minutes for each side, because I like more of a medium rare center. How long you cook this is totally up to you. But I have to say, I suggest that you do not cook this to well done, because this type of meat does not do well at well done, because it just gets tough and it's like you're chewing a leather shoe. You don't want to do that. So go ahead and remove it onto a plate and allow it to rest for 5 to 10 minutes while we work on the rest of the recipe. So in the same pan, I'm going to add some olive oil, and into that I'm going to add some thinly sliced onions. Now we're going to cook this over medium heat for about 15 minutes until they get slightly caramelized. We're not looking for full caramelization, but just a little adds a lot of flavor. And while we're waiting for that to happen, it's a perfect opportunity to cut your steak. So like I said previously, we want to cut this against the grain. And as you can see, I'm slightly angling my knife so that I get a really nice tender cut. And I will say here that the meat looks a lot more rare than it actually is. For some reason, it looked way more red on camera than it does in person, so just keep that in mind. Now that my onions are done, we're going to go ahead and add some thinly sliced red pepper and some minced garlic. Give that a nice stir, and I'm only going to let that cook for about 3 minutes because I like a little bit of crunch to my red peppers. You can go ahead and add your steak along with all the juices that accumulated on the plate. So now we're going to make the super simple sauce. So in a small cup, I'm adding some cornstarch, coconut aminos, some fish oil, some red pepper flakes for extra heat, and give it a good whisk and go ahead and pour that in. And then you want to stir it really well. And as it heats up, you'll see the sauce will start to thicken. It takes no time at all, definitely less than 5 minutes. Then you can add your broccolini. And of course we can't forget the basil, which adds so much flavor to this. Give it a good stir, and that is absolutely it. It's so delicious. I love to serve this with cauliflower rice. And if you guys want my recipe on how to make it, just let me know in the comment section below. So here is the delicious final product. I cannot wait to dig into this because this is one of my favorite recipes of all time. I'm not even kidding. When I make this, I just salivate. It's just, the smells are just so amazing. I know you guys are gonna love this recipe. Let's dig in. Oh my good Lord. Good job. Words cannot express how good this is. Let me just say, once you make this the first time, you're gonna wanna make this every single week because it is that stinking good. So if you do wanna recreate this recipe, just look below in the description box. I'll leave all the measurements as well as the written instructions. And if you did like this video, don't forget to smack that like button. If you're new here and you're not already subscribed to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe because I have so many more recipes to come. And as always, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and we'll see you next time. Peace.